Hello and welcome students to MechPro classes, my official YouTube channel. Myself Piraj Majumdar, Assistant Professor of Mechanical Engineering Department, GKCM, that is Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management under JIS Group. Welcome you to our new session of Advanced Welding Technology, where we will be uploading all the lecture series according to MacOut syllabus day by day. So keep in touch with us for getting daily updates. You can also contact me through 9433465217, that is my personal phone number, or even you can email me at pirasar@gmail.com. You can also connect me through social networking, that is Facebook page, which is known as MechPro classes. So let us start today's online session. Previous class we have completed the USW, that is the ultrasonic welding, in this particular module 4. So today we will be having some discussion on this friction stir welding as well as the underwater welding. So let us begin today's online session. In a one line, I can say that friction stir welding, FSW, is a solid state joining process that uses frictional heat generated by a rotating tool to join materials. Now, the non-consumable tool with a profiled probe and shoulder is rotated and plunged into the interface between two workpieces. This one. It then traverses along the joint line, causing the material to heat and soften. The shoulder also acts to contain this plasticized material, which is mechanically mixed to create a solid phase welding. Now look this talking about the mechanical properties and microstructure. The mechanical properties of friction stir welded aluminum alloys have been proven better than those found with other welding processes, such as this simple arc welding process, that is the MMAW or MMA or SMAW or simply stick welding. MMA means manual metal arc, MMAW means manual metal arc welding, and SMAW means shielded metal arc welding. These are the all synonymous of the simple arc welding process, which already I have covered in the arc welding process in my previous videos. So with regard to the mechanical properties of FSW, that is the friction stir welding, this process typically has three main microstructural regions. So it has a weld nugget, then thermo mechanically affected zone, TMAG. Previously in arc welding we are having HAS. Now it is TMAG, thermomechanically affected zone, and a heat affected zone as well. So first is your weld nugget, next is your thermomechanically affected zone, and third is your thermomechanically affected zone. Sorry, this one will be the second one is your thermomechanically affected zone, and third one is your HAS. Okay, now why both the weld nugget and the TMAG are thermomechanically affected zones, they are considered separately when it comes to the microstructural features.
This is because the weld nugget experiences dynamic recrystallization while the T-match does not. However, the exact composition and extent of the microstructural composition in these zones depends upon the material and processing conditions as well. So this can, for example, alter depending on factors such as welding parameters and the design of the FSW tool as well. So friction stir welding is a new novel solid state joining processes. A specifically designed tool rotates and traverses along the joint line, creating frictional heating that softens a column of material underneath the tool. The softened material flows around the tool through extensive plastic deformation and is consolidated behind the tool to form a solid state continuous joint. Friction welding is a solid state joining process that produces coalescence by the heat developed between two surfaces by mechanically induced surface motion. This friction stir welding is a solid state joining process. The metal is not melted, that uses a third body tool to join two facing surfaces. Heat is generated between the tool and material. So here we will find the picture. Step 1 is the clamping force. Here you can see this is the clamping force. Step 2 you can see over here, and step 3, and this is step 4. Here we will find the friction stir welding is going on. Sufficient downward force to maintain registered contact. This is rotating, producing friction between the two contact surfaces. Now this is the advancing side of the weld. This is known as the solder. This is the trailing edge of the rotating tool. This is the leading edge of the rotating tool. This is the P probe. This is the retracting side of the weld. So here you can find the T section, welding of T section, two component top butt, and this is the corner welds by the help of friction stir welding. Now friction stir welding, parts to be joined are clamped firmly, as you can see, butt welds. This is the overlap welds. A rotating hardened steel tool is driven into the joint and transverse along the joint line between the parts. The rotating tool produces friction with the parts, generating enough heat and deforming to weld the parts together. Now let us discuss some of the advantages and applications of this friction stir welding. So one more thing I would like to share, that I would like to discuss the theory, the history goes on like this. Friction stir welding was invented by Wayne Thomas in 1991. So industrial production using FSW was in progress by the mid 1990s, making it one of the shortest time periods for any welding process to go from invention to widespread use. Now talking about the advantage, it has got various application as well as advantages. So as a solid state welding process, friction stir welding is largely defect free joining method with no hot cracking, porosity or solidification cracks. Due to lower temperatures, there is a reduction in shrinkage and distortion in the material being joined. No filler materials, flux or shielding gas requirement for aluminum alloys. FSW is environmentally friendly as it produces no fume, spatter or UV radiation. It uses machine tool technology, making the process easy to automate, highly repeatable and reducing need for skilled welders. Can work in any position. It has got good mechanical properties, which for aluminum alloys typically equals or exceeds those obtainable by competing processes. It is also energy efficient and there is no requirement for any special edge preparation in most of the applications. Now, what are the disadvantages? Exit hole left after withdrawing tool from the materials to be joined. However, this can be easily accounted for in the design of the part or by using run-off or run-on tabs. The need for significant downforce and traversing forces means that clamping on the parts to be joined is more substantial than for arc welds. The gaps between the parts to be joined needs to be controlled. No filler material is used in the process. Now, talking about the application portion, it has got wide applications. The process is this friction welding process is used in industry to join aluminum alloys of all grades, whether cast, rolled or extruded. Now, this has been shown to weld allow it can join thickness of aluminum alloy butt joints of 0.3 millimeter and 75 millimeter in a single pass depending on the alloy grade and capability of FSW machine. Other materials that have been joined with FSW include magnesium, titanium, copper, nickel and steel alloys, while plastics and metal matrix composite MMC has also been explored. The process has also been shown to be able to join dissimilar combinations of these materials, including aluminum to steel. FSW has been used for a variety of applications across industries ranging from aerospace to shipbuilding and rail to electronics, including EV battery trays also. So that's all for friction welding. Let us move on to the underwater welding. Let us start the underwater welding. So this is how it looks like to be the part of underwater welding inside the water. It really looks like exciting, Look at the welder is having this diver chute and he is welding inside the water, under the water, as you can see. So let us learn today what actually this underwater welding means. Okay, so now coming to the principle of operation of underwater welding. So from the name itself, it is much exciting. So what will it looks like, what it actually takes to weld under the water. So it is something every students think of it. Okay. Now let us have the definition of this underwater welding. Actually, underwater welding are mainly categorically categorized into two main types actually. One is wet underwater and another is dry underwater, also called hyperbaric actually. So I would share it with you that one is the wet underwater and another one is the dry, and this dry underwater is known as hyperbaric. So in wet underwater welding, shielded metal arc welding is commonly used, employing a waterproof electrode. Other processes that are used include flux cored arc welding and friction welding. Now in each of these cases, welding power supplied is connected to the welding equipment through cables and hoses. The process is generally limited to low carbon equivalent steels, especially at greater depths because of hydrogen caused cracking. And in dry underwater, this one, in dry underwater welding, the weld is performed at the prevailing pressure in a chamber filled with gas mixture sealed around the structure being welded. For this process, gas tungsten arc welding is often used, and the resulting welds are generally of high integrity. Now, the applications of underwater welding are diverse. It is often used to repair and construct ships, offshore platforms, and pipelines. Steel is the most common material welded. And in terms of underwater cutting, oxygen arc cutting with exothermic electrodes and steel tuber electrodes are also used. Due to the danger and demands on the body, welders or cutters often work 1 month and 3 months off. So that is the thing, very this exciting thing. Okay, so let us have a look on the principle of operation. The welding circuit must include a positive type of switch, usually a knife switch, operated on the surface and commanded by the welder, and is used for safety reasons. Now, when DC is used with positive polarity, electrolysis will take place and cause rapid deterioration of any metallic components in the electrode holder. As you can see in the circuit diagram of the underwater welding, we have this knife switch, this is the work, this is the electrode, this is the holder, and this is the waterproof electrode, and this is the power supply. For wet welding, AC is not used on account of electrical safety and difficulty in maintaining an arc underwater. Now, some characteristics of underwater welding. Rapid cooling rate. The weld microstructure is affected by the rapid cooling rates incurred in underwater welding. The use of a continuous cooling transformation CCT diagram can explain this microstructure. A CCT diagram of simulated single pass welds on a 516 group 70 steel, which was generated using a Glavely machine. The microstructures and corresponding temperature at which each will start and finish will be identified on the diagram. Because of the weld samples of interest where multiple pass welds, an important variable known as bead tempering is introduced. The subsequent weld passes and its effect on the previous weld pass microstructure as well. Now, the second figure shows how multiple weld passes can affect the haze of the weld pass made previous to it. Multiple weld passes provide bead tempering to the previous weld pass, which refines the coarse grains in the haze, which is where hydrogen under bead cracking commonly exists. Now, characteristics of a good underwater welding are the requirement of inexpensive welding equipment, low welding cost, easy to operate, and flexibility of operation in all positions. Minimum electrical hazards, minimum of 20 cm per minute welding speed at least, permit good visibility, produce good quality and reliable loads. Operator should be capable in supporting himself, easily automated. Now, here is the figure showing a circuit diagram for underwater welding or cutting. Actually, it has got these oxygen cylinders, and we have this oxygen regulator. This is the oxygen hose, as you can see, connected with the electrode. Then is the power cable as well. This is a 400 ampere safety switch single pole. 400 ampere DC welding generator is also connected with the positive sides of this work. Now, here is the electrode. This is the oxygen lever, as you can see. So, electrode holder or cutting torch. This is the water line, as you can see. Now, the work to be welded is connected to one side of an electric circuit and a metal electrode to the other side. These two parts of the circuit are brought together and then separated slightly. The electric current jumps the gap and causes a sustained spark, that is the arc, which melts the bare metal, forming a weld pool. At the same time, the top of electrode melts and metal droplets are projected into the weld pool. During this operation, the flux covering the electrode melts to provide a shielding gas, which is used to stabilize the arc column and shield the transfer metal. The arc burns in a cavity formed inside the flux covering, which is designed to burn slower than the metal barrel of the electrode. So underwater welding is the process of welding at elevated pressures, normally underwater. Underwater welding can either take place wet in the water itself or dry inside the specially constructed positive pressure enclosure, and hence a dry environment. It is predominantly referred to as hyperbaric welding when used in a dry environment, and underwater welding when in a wet environment. So the applications of underwater welding are diverse. It is seen used to repair ships, offshore platforms, pipelines. Steel is the most common material welded by this process. Now, the fact that arc welding electric arc could operate was known for over 100 years. The first ever underwater welding was carried out by British Admiralty dockyard for sealing leaking ship rivets below the waterline. The underwater welding is an important tool for underwater fabrication works. In 1946, special waterproof electrodes were developed in Holland by Van der Wellingen. Now, safety measures we have to maintain while operating underwater. So start cutting at the highest point and work downward. By withdrawing the electrode very few seconds to allow water to enter the cut, the gases can be vented to the surface with a vent tube, flexible hoses secured in place from the high point where gas would collect to a position above the waterline. Precautions include achieving adequate electrical insulation of the welding equipment. Areas and voids must be vented or made inert. Now, advantage of dry welding is the welder diver safety, good weld quality, surface monitoring, and disadvantage is higher cost of processing, training, etc., large quantity of costly and complex equipments, more deep and more energy requirement, can't weld if weld spot is at unreachable place. Requirement is power supply around 400 ampere or larger. DC generators, motor generators, rectifiers are acceptable power supplies. Power converters, welding generator pre-setup polarity, diesel driven welding generator amperage and voltage settings, and gas manifolds. Now, risk involved is the electric shock explosion. Precautions include achieving adequate electrical insulation of the welding equipment, shutting off the electricity supply immediately the arc is extinguished, and limiting the open circuit voltage of MMA or SMA welding sets. Hydrogen and oxygen are produced during welding. Precautions must be taken to avoid the buildup of pockets of gas which are potentially explosive. Risk is to the life or health of the welder diver from nitrogen introduced into the bloodstream during exposure to air at increased pressure. And precautions include the provision of an emergency air or gas supply, standby drivers, and decompression chambers to avoid nitrogen, and inspection of welds as well. Now, coming to the normal welding and underwater welding, the difference is that in underwater welding, burning is 6500 to 10,000 degree Fahrenheit under the sea. Under the water, metal sounds different. It's high pitched but muffled like a siren entering a tunnel. It dissipates quickly out into the waves. And ground welding, in the electric arc, the temperature is very high, of the order of 6000 to 8000 degrees Celsius for GTA, GMAW, FCAW and SAW processes. It is up to 10,000 to 20,000 degrees Celsius for plasma arc welding process, and well above the boiling point of the base and filler materials. So in conclusion, at present underwater welding becomes more sophisticated and can be done deeper. It has been used to weld pipes at depths of 200 feet, that is 61 meter, and has produced an X-ray quality welds meeting the requirements of standards. Offshore oil exploration have increased the interest in underwater welding. Wet underwater welding method causes a waterproof welding electrodes. The power of the arc generates a bubble of a mixture of gases which lets metal melting and joining occur more or less normal. So today we have gone through this friction stir welding as well as this underwater welding. Hope you have enjoyed today's class. Thank you for watching.